Welcome back to another episode with our most wanted coach from the United States, Corbin Bowers. Corbin, you are now assistant coach at the University of Charleston in West Virginia. You
Yes.
just coming off your first season there, and you made it pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
second place in the whole nation, which is why we wanted to talk to you again. First of all, obviously, congratulations on your success. Um, would you mind taking us through this whole season you had, like transferring to University of Charleston, obviously, then settling in, recruiting, new environment, getting to know the guys, getting to know the school, and making a huge impact on the players, on the team, and helping the team to be lifted into second place.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me for maybe, I think, the third time now. Great to be back and in a new environment and just to give some more information out there. But yeah, it's been, I guess, a crazy change since the last time we talked. As you said, moved to the University of Charleston. I did that in April. And when I joined here in April, it was the last week of the off season, or the spring season, if you will. So I got 1 week of practice with the team. We had one match with the first team, one match with the reserve team, which we called development team. And we played actually a Division I team. We played West Virginia and tied 0-0. So that was pretty cool because they had finished in the Final Four that season, which was last year, and we had finished in the Sweet 16 of Division II. So it was a really competitive 0-0 match. Good way to start my first week with them. And then we dove into the summer recruiting. With me joining in a little late, there was a lot of recruiting to do over the summer. So we spent a lot of time working on fine-tuning the positions we needed and the guys we were looking to add in, and it being really specific with me learning Charleston and the demands, but also just getting some recruiting finished. We put together a pretty good class, as you can see, like you leading in with the question of the season ended up being really good. Just a dream come true in a first season back in Division II after my playing days to go all the way to the national final was quite amazing. But sorry.
How many players did you add during summer?
If I remember correctly, for the first team, we brought in, I want to say 10 guys, and in total for the squad, we had maybe 19 because we have two teams within the roster. But yeah, and I think unless there's guided questions you want to go through, but I think I can give you like a recap of the season as well.
Sure. Let's start with the start of the season. I mean, bringing in 10 new players is quite a challenge.
Yeah.
I would suggest. How did the players fit in? Where are they from? Were they freshmen? Did you have some transfers, some older guys?
Yeah.
Like what did the team look like at the start of the season?
Yeah, I would say the 10 guys, we had a little bit of everything, to be honest. We had guys from multiple countries. We had some transfers. We had a few true freshmen. I think just as an overall knowledge to know for the people out there listening, we have guys from 22 different countries on the team. So it's pretty wide grasp from all over the world, Europe, South America, and other spots as well. So very, very diverse team. And I think that helped in the long run because it wasn't anything new. It's been pretty standard for Charleston to have such a diverse group. So we were just able to welcome in other guys and learn their story. And there were some transition moments. There's some adjustments, transfers that are coming into a new environment, younger freshmen that have to adjust to the level of Division II. But overall, had a positive preseason in the beginning. We played 2 scrimmages, won both of those in pretty good manner, and then went into like our 2 non-conference games. Again, it started with ranked opponents. We played Tiffin, which had finished, I think, number 19 in the country, something like that. By the time we played them, it was a top 25 clash. First game of the season, and we tied 0-0. A little unfortunate. We missed a big chance at the end of the game, which kind of haunted us throughout the season, even though it was a really good season. But missed a chance to beat Tiffin at their place, which would have been really massive. And then from there, we headed into the regular season. Our conference starts week 2 of the season. So we played one non-conference game and then got into the thick of regular season with guys adjusting really well. Coming in this class, we had guys from Austria, Greece, Colombia, England, Spain, Argentina were some of the newcomers. I'm sure I'm missing others, but that was maybe like the general, some of the first names that come to mind from this recruiting class. France as well.
Okay, so all over the world, Europe, Americas. I actually looked through your roster and I saw that you're heavily recruiting from South America. Is that right?
Yeah, we do. I think it fits into our style of play. Just the technical possession, high caliber attacking football, and that spark of creativity. I think we're unique to Division II with how we play, and we need a little bit of that South American flair to it. But then we, as a staff and as a team, try not to have too many people from too many different countries so that it's not little cliques, but also that the style can be really flexible. I think we pride ourselves as a coaching staff and a team of being very tactically flexible. And I think the more soccer backgrounds for different parts of the world we have, the better and easier it is to be flexible.
So you would say you're more like a possession-oriented team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we averaged, if I had to, I could pull up Y Scout and check our stats, but I would say we probably averaged 78% possession in our games this season.
That's very impressive.
Obviously, the tougher challenges, the bigger opponents, later in national tournament, maybe it was closer to 60. We had one or two games where it was 50-ish, but most of the season, the overall was very high possession in favor for us. And then we're a very pressing, guided team. We press a lot.
So your guys have to be fit as well.
Yeah, there's a high standard for the fitness. We have a pretty demanding fitness test right away when the guys arrive on campus. It's pretty unique. I've never seen anything like it. But it's a good test of soccer fitness, being football-specific fitness, which you and I spent a lot of time working on together when we were classmates. But you have to be fit to play for us. You have to be technically sharp. You have to be very tactically intelligent. And I know we'll talk about it in the recruiting process, but that's some of the things we look for.
I think that's very interesting what you just mentioned. Can you define being fit a little bit? Because, from Europe, it's more like a playing style where you don't have to be like the fittest at all. And when you transfer to the US, first thing you have to be is fit. And if you say you have to be even fitter for your college, what does it mean? Can you give us a little bit of context there?
Yeah, and I think I've been in a few different programs now, as you guys know. So for us specifically at Charleston, at this university, it is a blend of soccer fitness and general fitness. We have 6 coaches on staff, very intelligent guys, all of us. So we were able to we've put together a fitness test that tests you like, are you soccer fit? It mimics going through like 45 minutes of a game, the way we set up the fitness test. So if you pass it, then it shows us that you're ready to be match fit. And if not, then you need a little bit of extra work in preseason. So it's a lot of high intensity running. And so for us, it's can you be fit at high intensity running? Because that's our style of play. You kind of let it in with your question. But I don't think for us it's just, oh, can you run a mile in this time? Oh, can you do this many sprints? It's more, can you be soccer fit through a test and then start training right away after the day after the fitness test? And I would say more fit for us because we press, and the expectation is that you press the whole match until you can't. The substitutions in NCAA soccer are very unique, so we can get away with just pressing for 90 minutes if we need to. But that doesn't mean we just want to sub. We want you to be fit enough to press, and then there'll be enough oxygen in your brain that when we win the ball back, you can make the right decision on the ball.
I love that. Yeah. I remember we talked about that back in college, the old days, that running a good mile doesn't really mean you're fit, you're soccer fit, as you said. And I love that you actually made that transition now to being soccer fit.
Yeah.
Remember, I always hated that mile running.
Yeah. So I mean, most of the guys passed the test. We had a few guys had to repeat the tests at a later time, but it set the tone for a good preseason and a good start of the regular season.
How are Europeans adapting to that style of play in the US, especially for your team? I mean, you have like at least 2 games a week, so the intensity is just a lot higher.
Yeah, the intensity is insane. We have to be very cautious with how we train each week, how we recover. We're very conscientious about the load of each session, the physical load and the mental load that each practice has. And we do a lot of recovery for the guys before games. For us in our conference, we play Wednesday, Sunday. So it's pretty crazy, especially that transition from Sunday to Wednesday. You have a little more time after the Wednesday game, but we play on Sunday, recover on Monday, and then we only have one practice to prepare for the next opponent. So it's definitely an adjustment for the new guys, and I would say from anybody, if you're from South America, from Europe, from Asia, to play 2 games in a week in that short of span of time. I think it's similar maybe to now the European model with Champions League and then your local league and a cup, but the intensity of college soccer is just different with the substitution. So it is an adjustment. And I think the depth of our squad really helped us get through that this year. We had in the first team 29 guys, and we felt like all 29 of them could contribute and help the team at any point. And we used them very much throughout the season, which helped us stay fresh and fit. I can't say we didn't have any injuries. We had some contact, some just fatigue because of the model in the U.S., but our depth helped us. And they definitely have to adjust. I think by the end of the season, especially once you get to the national tournament, to play a semifinal on a Thursday and play a final on a Saturday is crazy. But we had built a good fitness base all throughout the season. And I think that's what we were preparing for. We spent a lot of time this summer thinking through how can we be fit enough to play 2 games in a week, and then by the end of December be able to play on a Thursday and a Saturday and hopefully win.
And still play some soccer in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, Corbin, can you take us through your season, like after the first few games? Maybe put some emphasis on the strength of schedule you had, and how did you finish in your conference?
Yeah, great question. So we set out our staff before I arrived. Our head coach had set out to build a non-conference schedule that would really boost our strength of schedule. Sometimes because our conference is small, we only have 7-8 teams. So our strength of schedule goes down a little bit. The bottom of the conference isn't the absolute best, but we found a couple non-conference games in Tiffin and Saginaw that really boosted that. 2 teams that made it to nationals. Saginaw was in the Elite 8 at the end of it. So that boosted our strength of schedule. And early on, we had a high caliber match with Concord University in our conference. They ended up being maybe our biggest rival to the conference title. We ended up playing them 4 times this year, twice in the regular season, in the conference final, and in the second round of nationals. So they were very tough. It was a close game, all 4
I was going
games.
to mention that. I saw them in the bracket.
Yeah. So we played them 4 times. We beat them at our place 2-1. At their place, we lost 3-2, which was one of only 2 of our losses. That game was a very big lesson for us, and I think it helped us at the end of the season. And then we played them in the conference tournament. I believe we won 1-0, and then won in the second round of nationals. They played at our place in the bye round for us, and we beat them, looking here at our schedule, 1-0 in the second round of nationals. So as we went through the conference itself, we ended up finishing first. We won the regular season quite early. It was fun. We got to win it on senior day, or graduate day for us because we have grad students, which for those of you that don't know is just a celebration for those that are playing their last season with the team. They get honored before the game. So we won it on that day, so it was even more special. And then we went into the conference final tournament and won that as well. Our ultimate goal was to be the number 1 seed in our region. Again, for our listeners, the NCAA Division II is split into 4 regions. And if you're top of your region, you get to host the first 3-4 rounds of the national tournament, which is a huge advantage to have home field advantage in the national tournament. So we achieved number 1 for the first time in program history in this new format. And we got to host a few games for the first time in a long time as the number 1 seed.
Who did you beat in the conference tournament?
Yeah, so we played Frostburg State in the semifinal, and we then went on to play Concord and beat them in the final 3-1.
Awesome. So and then you secured the number 1 spot, and then you got the home field advantage.
Yeah, so we were a little nervous when we lost to Concord because our region, number 1, is very, very tough, and they're losing a game could cost you that opportunity. Good for us. Some of the other strong teams in our region had also lost a few games, which isn't normal to say. But I think the games that we played, playing Tiffin, playing Saginaw, the season that Concord had and beating them 3 times helped us secure that number 1 seed.
Oh, well deserved. And that's the nice thing about strength of schedule.
Yeah. We have to find ways to make up for it again with our conference makeup. Other conferences just naturally are tougher, and they have the opportunity to play more non-conference games because we have to play everybody twice. We only have the opportunity for 2 or 3. But yeah, I think we got it right from a strength of schedule perspective this year.
Awesome. And then you headed into the NCAA tournament. Can you walk us through there, game by game?
Yeah.
You started in the second round against Concord, as you already mentioned, beat them 1-0. How was that?
Yeah. So again, some of the challenges with NCAA, Concord played New Haven at our field on the Friday, and then we played them. They won, and then we played on the Sunday. So we had an advantage. That was part of being number 1. Is they had played 2 days before us. We'd had a whole week off.
And they had overtime, right?
Yeah, they went
beat
to
New
the
Haven
penalty
in
shootout.
PKs. Yeah.
Yes, so they were tired, which is a huge advantage for us to rest and watch that game. And then we went into Concord with another battle. That one would have been the 4th, just absolute battle, very contrasting styles, but 2 teams that do really well at their style. Concord's direct, very physical, very counterattack minded, and very good defensively, and they're proud of the way they play. And for us, it was possession, attacking, so it was just a clash every time we played them. And the NCAA game was no different. We scored our goal in the 85th minute, I believe, penalty goal. So it was tight until the very end, and then we were just fortunate enough to score when it was in the last stages of the second half. And just really refreshing to get through that. Yeah, so that was like our first game into nationals, and from there we're heading into a massive matchup playing Franklin Pierce, which probably, I would say, arguably is our biggest rival in the whole NCAA stage.
Yeah, Franklin Pierce started the tournament off in the second round as well against Gannon. They beat them in overtime 3-2 and lost to you 1-0. How was the game against Franklin Pierce?
I think one of the highlights of the season for us, it was an extremely intense game. For context, Franklin Pierce had won the national tournament 2 years in a row. So they're coming off of back-to-back national championships. They're arguably one of the best historical Division II teams out there, along with us and a few other teams. So it was just an instant classic, I guess, to steal some terminology from sports. Very tight game as well. Similar styles. The head coach at Franklin Pierce was the assistant coach here at Charleston a couple of years ago. So there was extra formula to that game. There was a lot extra. They had knocked us out 2 years ago in the 2022 season in this round of the Elite Eight. So it was just a nice rivalry game outside of our conference to play against them and beat them. It was a great game. We defended quite well for the most part in that game, scored some great goals, had a good bit of possession in that one, and scored a goal early in the second half, and were able to hold on for the rest of the game. It just felt like a relief then getting into the Elite Eight for the first time in a while, a couple of years.
Yeah, Elite Eight.
It's probably that Franklin Pierce game was probably, if the neutral was watching, probably one of the most attractive Division II games to watch, just with 2 very good styles of soccer.
Yeah, the further you go, the better the games become. It's just nature of the bracket, I guess.
Yeah.
So the next game was against Felician.
Yeah,
you beat them.
We beat them 2-1 in overtime. Felician, yeah.
Felician, yeah. 2-1.
Yeah, that was I would say like a cardiac game, just really stressful. High nerves. A big relief to win in overtime again for our listeners, watchers in the U.S. Once you get to playoffs, it's golden goal, which hasn't been a thing probably since 2002 in like major leagues and international football. But we started losing that game, and I believe we scored again in the 80th minute-ish. and then scored 5 or 6 minutes into overtime. So it was a crazy game. Just fun to celebrate and win and clinch our spot into the national semifinal at our home field in overtime. It was our only overtime game of the season, if I remember correctly, and to win it that fashion was fun and exciting for the guys to run onto the field and celebrate as a group. And it just showed tactical flexibility and a little bit of heart from our group. We were down 1-0 for a long time off of a set play goal from a corner kick. And then in the late stages of the game, committed another number forward, and we're playing maybe with 6 attacking players, defending only with 3 and a goalkeeper, and found a way to score. Just the urgency of it, and then scored a great goal in overtime to win it.
Awesome. I always love those golden goals.
Yeah.
You score and the game ends, and
that's it. Yeah.
Dams break. All right, then the semifinals against CSU Pueblo.
Yes, so now when you qualify for a Final Four, you get to go to a neutral site. There's a different complex all across the country that hosts each year. So we all met in Matthews, North Carolina, and played at the SACS, the South Atlantic Conference's complex. Really nice facility, amazing stands, great grass fields. Just a cool experience of every team traveling, all 4 teams traveling there to a neutral site to play these games. So Pueblo had played the national final 2 years in a row, arguably right now the best team in the West region. So in Division II, the best team in the West. And a great game. Again, we started losing 1-0. I believe tied at 1-1, then went down 2-1, and then came back and won the game 3-2. So again, I think, yes, we talked in the beginning about our style, our fitness, but I think the biggest theme this season was our group's mental resilience in tough times. We faced a lot of adversity throughout the season, which was good for us in for the latter stages of the tournament. And it was just another crazy, great game. 2 contrasting styles. Pueblo's very physical, very direct. Had the longest throw I've seen, typical to like the guy from Stoke City, Delap. Just an amazing long throw that they used quite well. Very good at set plays. So once you, like you said, later stages, you just get to see all these different contrasting styles, and it was a great game as well. And fortunate for us, we won 3-2 and clinched our spot in the national final.
Yeah, and you went into semifinals as number 1 seed, right?
Yeah.
Number 1. Number 4 was Pueblo, 2 was Lynn, and 3 was McKendree. So you did pretty well up to that point.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was just to that point to be that in quotes would have meant we were the number 1 team in the country. There's so many different ranking systems, and from the NCAA at that point be ranked as number 1 headed into the Final Four was a huge accomplishment, and credit to the guys for earning that, the players. So being number 1 is a great advantage because you play technically in quotes the lesser seed, which at the point of the Final Four doesn't really mean much because you have 4 very good teams, but to avoid Lynn, a powerhouse, in the semifinal was a good thing.
But then you had them in the final.
Yeah, another instant classic, an amazing game.
How was that?
It was tough. I think I was obviously losing any final. It's just hard to reflect on it. It took me a really long time to get over it, but it was another really good game. I would say, and I think it's okay to be honest in this podcast and in this setting, because we agreed as a staff that we got the game plan wrong in the first half, which didn't happen often, a lot this season. Maybe twice, 2 games where I felt like we got the game plan wrong. And this was one of them, unfortunately. So we were down 3-0 at halftime. So we dug ourselves a really deep hole. But then second half, probably played some of our best soccer of the season. But we're unfortunate not to be able to score 3 goals, only 2 in the half. I think anytime you concede 3 in one half of football, you're putting yourself in a tough spot. But we had chances at the end of the game to win it. I know a lot of people watched. I know you did, and we missed a couple of clear chances.
I know, man. I watched the highlights, and after the first half, I thought, "Oh, come on, man! He's gonna be so down. Being down 3-0 at halftime is just demoralizing." But you guys came back 3-2, and then you had the 3-3.
Yeah.
You I still can't believe how that guy didn't score that ball.
Yeah.
It was
like
like a cross through the box, and he just all he had to do was leave his leg there
Yeah,
to put
yeah,
the
I think
ball in. But that's soccer. That's
yeah,
soccer.
it was crazy. Same, like I told you, beginning of the season, Tiffin, we missed a chance late in the game to win, and then at the end of the season, the last moment of the game, missed a clear chance to tie in the national final. But a really good cross, and our number 9, our center forward, gets contact on it. It hits the goalkeeper, which then deflects off the center back, and then it lands in the goalkeeper's hands. It's just crazy. It gets a little bit of contact on it, but if it's a better finish, it's 3-3. But to hit off the goalkeeper, hit off the defender, and just land in his hands was just unfortunate.
Yeah.
It is tough. I think it took our team a long time to get over it. I don't know if we're all over it yet, but I just made a decision to value the 3 trophies that we did win, the 22 games, only having 2 losses, and just hoping to get back there again next year. It was a great game. Lind's a very good team.
What a great run. What a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. Best one in a while. We'd won the national championship in 2019. Had been back in the final in 2021. Lost that as well, but since 2021, it had been some time since we'd been at that late stage of the season.
Awesome. Again, congratulations on that really great season.
Thanks.